All right, so today I'm going to show you how to notate your recordings, right? So first of all, you need your recorded material. You'll need Melodyne, which if you have Studio One Plus or Studio One Prime or whatever it's called, one of them, you'll have Melodyne. And I think Artist has Melodyne Essential in it, which should work for this too. Don't quote me on that. It could be wrong. Check your version or just get Melodyne. Pretty powerful. You can do a lot with it. This is kind of like just scratching the surface, honestly. So anyway, you have your recorded material, you have Melodyne, you need to be able to convert it and kick it onto another instrument track. So what I have is a recording of my acoustic guitar that my sister literally pulled it out of the trash and gave it to me, and I put new strings on it and I play it, and it's, well, I pulled it out of the trash basically. So, you know, and then I'm a ham-fisted fool that can't play guitar to save my life. So you'll hear what I mean, but it'll work for demonstration purposes. Since we're going from an acoustic guitar, we're going to go to another acoustic guitar because why not, right? So I'm going to use the preset from Presonus, the Presonus preset for the acoustic guitar. There was a lot of P's in that sentence, and it sounds pretty cool too. We're going to need that too, and I'll show you why in a second. So what we're going to do, first of all, select your clip, okay? You're going to go to Edit with Melodyne, which is under the Audio menu, okay? Edit with Melodyne. Now, a few things to remember before I play this. A few things to remember, okay? The cleaner you're recording, the cleaner the performance, the better. The cleaner the tone of the instrument, the better. The slower, the better. And the more moderate your frequency range, the voicing of your instrument, whatever it is, the better, okay? Practice your performance. Make sure you figure out exactly what you want to do. The better you perform whatever you're trying to record, obviously, the better it's going to be, right? So the easier it's going to be for Melodyne to do its job, okay? Now, number two, the cleaner your tone, the better. If you have a wildly distorted tone, there's all kinds of harmonics in there that are going to make it tricky for Melodyne to pick up on what's happening, all right? Slower is better. And I mean that for the performance sense, because the slower you perform the piece, the better you're going to be able to, okay? If you're one of these Shredzilla Van Halen people, like, you're going to have a hard time getting Melodyne to understand what you're doing. So take your time, don't rush it, clean up your performance. It'll also make you a better musician. And also, like I said, the frequency range. If you have extremely high frequency content, Melodyne might not pick up on what's happening, or it might misinterpret it. If you have extremely low frequency content, Melodyne might not pick up on what's happening. It works very well for vocals, natural instruments, acoustic guitars, you know, maybe some flutes, clarinets, you know, stuff like that. Monophonic instruments, even some basic synth sounds. But the more esoteric your sound is, or the more blurred the harmonic spectrum is, the harder it will be for Melodyne to understand what is happening. So keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Now, we've loaded up into Melodyne. You'll see it's already tried to figure out what in the world is happening. Okay, there's a couple different algorithms in Melodyne. All right. Melodic is great if you have just very monophonic, just a single tone, just a single thing going on, okay? Flutes, trumpets, saxophones. It's one sound at a time. Melodic works just fine. Voices, melodic's one, unless you can do that like Mongolian dual tone thing, which is incredibly cool. I don't know how Melodyne handles that. If you can, send me some tracks of that, and then, because I want to try it. It would be so much fun to try it out. Or you do it and then show me how it works. Do a video. It'd be cool. Anyway, so then there's polyphonic sustain and polyphonic decay, which, I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't read the manual. I don't know what the difference is between the two. I'm sure there is one. I don't know what it is. I'm going to go with polyphonic sustain because for my purposes, it's been about the same either way. So polyphonic detection, it goes through, figures out what in the world you just played, and this is what it came up with. If you can read notation in the notes and everything like that already, then you're going to see that this is like not too far off. So check it out. Okay, so obviously I'm no Yngwie Malmsteen. I like can barely handle just a basic scale, but you kind of see what's happening here, right? It's interpreting what it got as audio and it's kicking it out and trying to figure out what notes you played. And it did a pretty good job. You'll see that some of these notes are not quite right, okay? That's because my terrible performance was not great. You notice that the tuning on my guitar was actually not far off. There's some spots where it gets a little weird, but that's mostly because of my ham-fisted performance. So the cleaner your performance, the cleaner the tone, the better tuned your instrument is, okay? The easier it's going to be for Melodyne to understand what you're trying to do. Okay, now, Melodyne has a whole bunch of tools in it that are great for cleaning up your performance and getting it to be what it should be as far as MIDI is concerned. That can do really weird things to recorded audio, so be careful with that. But experiment, don't be afraid to try it out and see what happens. But now comes the fun part, right? So now we want to kick it onto another instrument track so that we can convert it to actual notes. Now, I'm not going to go through the process of cleaning up this performance because you'll understand what's happening just to see what's happening, right? So all we're going to do is Alt on PC or Option on a Mac, click and drag. And you see what just happened there. It took the performance that it detected all the notes for it and turned it into MIDI and dropped it onto the track that plays from Presence, the virtual nylon guitar. So here, this is the recorded track. It's muted. I'm actually going to mute it twice just so you know this is not me. And you'll be able to tell pretty quickly because it's like it's going to be a robot playing. So, it's better, right? Here's what we got. Now, you'll notice a couple things. Number one, it's not perfect. That's okay. You're not either. So the better you can do, the better it will be able to figure out what you're doing, right? I cannot stress that enough. Your results will vary based on your performance. Now, I didn't play this to a click at all. I just kind of was just winging it. And this part just so happens to line up fairly easily onto the 16th notes that I can demonstrate how this works, right? So let's say you have a performance that is less than stellar, right? First of all, I'm going to get rid of that note because that was Melodyne misdetecting what was happening. Sometimes it, like down here, when you have lower frequency stuff, it will reinterpret, it'll hear the harmonics as fundamental tones of another note, of the next octave up, or such, and will determine that to be part of the tone, right? Which is why you have what is this, a fifth, I think. I'm not playing that. That's just the harmonics of the guitar being picked up as, the resonant harmonics being picked up as notes. So we're going to ignore that for a minute because you just kind of have to clean that stuff up if you have it. It's just going to happen. But we're going to look at these for a second. We can turn these into cleaner 16th notes to better demonstrate the next step of the process. And here's why we're going to clean them up. If we look at the notation now, the score view, boom, that's my performance. And it looks like some super Beethoven-y stuff. And you can see that it's already trying to read it as 16th notes, but it's kind of delaying some of these to push them off time a little bit. So we're going to clean that up in a second here. But, if we go back here, it reads the chords. Again, not perfectly, but it's there, right? So let's go back over to this section here. So these notes, let's go back into MIDI. Okay. These notes, we're going to quantize. We're going to hit I have my quantization settings already set for straight 16ths. Just hard quantize, just make it easy on ourselves, right? So we'll apply. You see how it cleans everything up. Okay, now we go back to our notation. Ta-da! Now it's clean 16ths, right? So if we go back a little bit, right? Right? So there you go. Now, again, the better your performance, the better your results. Your results will vary. My results were not very good. But I'm not a guitar player. But that's how to do it. Now, if you're struggling to get it to recognize what is happening, okay, go up an octave, play it an octave higher if you can. Or what you can do is your recorded audio, you can take and transpose it higher, right? So beforehand. So if let's go remove Melodyne, okay, unmute. Now if I transpose this up an octave, right? Whoops. First of all, it sounds like some kind of weird dulcimer thing, right? Now that it's an octave higher, all right, I'm going to bounce it down, and then, which was Control B, and then I'm going to edit with Melodyne, okay? And you'll see that it read the same thing. Well, kind of. Not really now, right? Well, wait a minute. That's because we're in Melodic state. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Wrong setting. My bad. Try again. Hee hee. Ho ho ho. It's like it's not exactly the same. You know what I mean? If we were to take and drag this onto another track, whoops, onto another instrument, and look at the MIDI at the same time, it's not exactly octaves of each other. Here it is, where it's simple and melodic, but even still, it misdetected some of these notes in here too. Okay, so again, use at your own experimental results, right? I don't know how else to put it, but that's how you do it, right? It's pretty simple. And a couple keystrokes too, right? You record your audio, Control M, it brings up Melodyne. You do what you got to make sure that your algorithm's right. Alt, drag, and then there you go. So it almost sounds like a mandolin. You know what I mean? Like, so you can use that, and for the purposes of like, hey man, I wrote this song, here's how it goes, clean up your MIDI, kick out the notation. You can also, I don't know if I said this yet or not, you can also, once it's in notation form, you can print it out. Now, I have had mixed results doing so, but use at your own peril. But it can be done, right? So there you go. There's how to do this thing that literally like it'll take you less time to actually do it than it took for me to explain it once you get the hang of it. So play around with it, use it, go crazy. Catch me a chicken next time. Pakak.